Well, it's not the biggest story of the week, but it's a big deal in the little media world on the right side of the political spectrum where we dwell. We, meaning Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, Scott Ott here for Right Angle, brought to you by the members at BillWhittle.com. Gentlemen, most of us has probably seen the story that Glenn Beck's organization, Mercury Radio Arts, has had to lay off, and TheBlaze.com have had to lay off some more people. And I'm not going to get into the specifics of how many people, but it was a good chunk of people, and why, because there's only speculation about that right now. And then, of course, immediately rises up the opponents, both of right-leaning radio as well as Beck in particular, to explain all the reasons why he failed. What I'd rather discuss, though, right now is the apparent difficulty of making a go of it in right-wing media, for want of a better term. Conservative media. I mean, when you look at the list of, let's say, libertarian, conservative, right-leaning movie studios, for example, or news outlets or channels on TV, you'll find it's a pretty thin slice, even though people who believe such things are a pretty thick slice of Americana. And so, it just fascinates me how difficult it is to make a functioning news and opinion operation. And perhaps this is a little bit of introspection, but Stephen Green, you've been at this game for quite a long time now. And, while you have grown filthy rich off of it, not everybody has. And so, I'd just like to kind of get your thoughts. He got filthy rich before he started here. But anyway, I'd like to just kind of get your thoughts on, I'm not saying the demise of Glenn Beck. I think he'll keep hammering away and he'll be fine. But he built up an organization of some 300 people, and that's been winnowed down to somewhere between 100 and 150 or something like that now. What's going on in this channel, this sector of business?
Well, there's a lesson here, and it really doesn't have to do with conservative or liberal or Democrat or Republican. It's why are we trying to emulate dinosaurs? 68 million years ago, as the dinosaurs were dying out, mammals weren't going, gee, we've got a real chance here. We should start laying eggs. No, you look at the mainstream media business model, and it's been on the decline. It's been shrinking for 20 years now. It's been layoffs. It's been lower ad revenues. It's been shrinking audiences. The New York Daily News was just sold this week for $1.
Oh my goodness! I didn't hear the price. Wow.
Yeah, it was $1, and the assumption of its liabilities. So
was it bidded up to $1?
Yeah,
did they bid it up to $1?
The original go was you've got to give me $10, but they got talked up $11. And so we did this before for PJ TV, and I mean no disrespect to the great folks at PJ TV, because that was a real pioneer in internet television. But the model was basically the ABC, NBC, CNN, whatever model, just a little smaller. And Glenn Beck was trying the same sort of thing. And the economics aren't there. The big networks can do this sort of on momentum, but even they're not going to be able to do it forever. And if we're going to combat the narrative, as we like to say, we shouldn't be doing that as a massive organization. We should be a guerrilla operation. We shouldn't be emulating CNN. Other people should be emulating BillWhittle.com.
Well, and Bill, one of the challenges, and that just the fact that we have this eponymous website for you here highlights, I think, one of Beck's challenges is he has built an organization around Glenn Beck. And, you can kid yourself into saying that everybody goes, hey, gee, I wonder what's on Mercury Radio today. Or I wonder what's at theblaze.com. Yeah, they think that way, but really they're tuning into Glenn Beck. So he has essentially created an organization that is wholly dependent upon him as the primary content creator. Now, you've had that same challenge here because you're very popular among a certain sector of people in the country and the world. How do you wrestle with that? Hey, I want to create a lasting entity here that'll allow me to occasionally take a vacation, and the realization that a lot of people came here because they love Bill Whittle.
Isn't that sweet? They also love Steve Green and Scott Ott.
I don't know those people.
One thing that could have happened is that so many times when Beck left Fox, it's undoubtedly he raised a big hunk of money, And when you have a big hunk of money ready to go in order to go out and change the world, the temptation is to spend a big hunk of money in a big way. And this may just be a regular kind of thing that we see in business cycles everywhere. Things are starting to look good. We buy all these trucks. Next thing you know, things are not so good. And now the trucks are sitting there undriven and liabilities adding up. Now, we haven't fallen into that trap because we haven't ever come into a gigantic, huge sum of money. But this is the kind of high-class problem I'd like to have going forward.
I'd like to test the character of the man with that kind of money.
Test my character, my business acumen. I will say this, though. I remember very early, and I don't remember who said it. It wasn't me. I'd like to credit it. I just can't remember. Somebody said the problem is with internet TV is that television's free and the internet is free, and now you're trying to charge people for internet TV, and it just doesn't seem to work. These right-angle shows sometimes go out before Facebook started suppressing them. They're easily 15, 20,000 views, some to 50, 60,000 views. The people who pay for those content are a very thin slice of that, a very thin slice. So there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people who watch this show every day or every other day or whatever, who enjoy the show and who are not paying for it, and other people are paying for it. And one solution business-wise is for me to just say, hey, okay, I understand how this works. Since this is our livelihood, this membership base is the only thing we've been able to figure out that works, then we'll do nothing but members-only programming. That'll be incentive to bring in enough people to keep the lights on. But the thing about the people who are members is this. The one thing we hear consistently is we don't want something like this. We spread it out, get it out there. So that is enormously uplifting to me, to know that many, many people are paying their $10 a month or whatever. And not only are they supporting that and getting their own content, they are basically saying, and take our money and these members-only content and show them to people. It's important. So I think that's really where you have to go, Scott. We do believe, we're supposed to be capitalists and we're supposed to believe in buying a product and stuff, but that's the hand, right? That's the hand, and that's the hand we got right now, and we'll continue to play it. All the way into, all the way into the poorhouse. I'm going to stand there with my pockets out. My last firewall is going to be to pull my empty pockets out and stand there like a Monopoly guy.
Brother, can you spare a Bitcoin?
But we're very grateful. We're very grateful for the people that not only support this organization, but also do it so selflessly. And I suppose it's just a small number of people that are called to that. But to those people, we're extremely grateful.
Well, as the sun goes down in the south of France, which is why Stephen Green is continually getting a darker and darker shade, just in case you're wondering, it's not because he didn't have enough money at BillWhittle.com to afford the proper lighting. It's just that he left the country, and we don't support people who leave the country. So, I think that Glenn Beck is dealing with a couple of fundamental challenges. I mean, I certainly think he took a hit because he was not a full-throated supporter of the president during the campaign, or even now. He remains openly critical of him when he deserves criticism and praises him when he deserves praise. I think Glenn's a visionary. And I think part of the challenge of being a visionary is he's always running off in a dozen different directions at the same time. And he does have some resources, as Bill suggested, that he can throw after those ideas. And so he's starting a museum where he has, a letter that was written to somebody who once knew Abraham Lincoln. And he's got that preserved in a museum now that he's set up. And then he starts doing rallies around the country. And then he does one in Israel. And, and he's all over the place. And he doesn't have a focused business plan. And frankly, probably his biggest challenge is there's no one big enough to say no to Glenn Beck. I mean, he's got some buddies around him, and that's another one of his problems. He's hired a lot of people that he's friends with, and then he's had to cut some of them loose, unfortunately. But there's nobody who can say, Glenn, you're the talent here. You're not a business genius. You are the talent. And so, no, we're not going to spend what the NFL spends on its halftime game day shows in order to create a studio for you that's magnificent so you can essentially do a radio show. And I heard a little bit of that from him and from his producer, from his Mercury Radio Arts guy, basically saying, the internet is not slick, like Steve was saying. The internet is not slick like TV. I mean, we took this show, Right Angle, from using each of us had in our own home studios thousands of dollars worth of video conferencing equipment in order to send this signal to Los Angeles.
Green screen backgrounds.
Yes, that's right, with green screens and chroma keys and all that kind of stuff.
I could use that right now.
Yes, you could. We could use a little lighting. When the studio stopped that we were working for, we replaced thousands of dollars worth of equipment with a $65 camera mounted on top of a tripod or on top of our IMAX. And
our numbers are 6 or 7 times what they were.
Yes, and the quality of the show is just as good, although some people are still complaining we don't wear ties anymore. But, what I'm saying is the game has changed, like Steve has said. I think Beck realizes that now. But the only way that Glenn Beck is going to thrive in this kind of an atmosphere is if he is able to fully release leadership of his company into the hands of somebody who knows how to run a company. And if he takes his role among the content creators and does what he does best. So that is, as Stephen Green would say, the right angle on Glenn Beck's recent cutbacks at Mercury Radio. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the rest of the team at Right Angle and BillWhittle.com, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the members at BillWhittle.com for making this possible on a shoestring.
I will tell Glenn Beck no, but he's going to have to pay me through the nose in order to do it.
That's actually true. That's what he has to do. He has to hire a guy and pay him so much.
No more spending.